So hey everybody, and welcome back to the shack. Welcome back to our channel. I want to thank you all for taking your precious time to sit and watch some of these bootleg videos. We are working hard to get better at this for y'all and to be more consistent for y'all. So truly thank you from our hearts, especially all the encouragement and comments you left on the last video. That was really kind of you. Thank you all for being there for me in that way. I am looking forward to settling into a routine and getting the homestead operational. So yeah, I know things are going to be okay. We'll just take it a day at a time like you do life in general. So anyway, thank you all so much for that and all the questions that we got. We are planning on doing the Q&A video soon. I don't know if it'll be a video all on its own or if it will be like a part to another video. So we will see, but if you have questions, now you can even leave them on this video, if you've thought of something. So we'd love to have those and get ready for that for you to answer all your questions. So, today we're going to talk about the off-grid appliances, and, we found some really good stuff that has made the transition to off-grid a lot easier, and we're very thankful for these things. Originally, when I've always wanted to homestead or farm for like years since I was a kid. I mean, I've loved the idea of it. So when Jeff started talking about homesteading, I was all for that. But when he mentioned going off grid, that part scared me some. So, because in my mind that means primitive. That means, you know, you're like pioneer days where you gotta boil water on the stove to take a bath and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not like that. I mean, it can be like that if you want it to be, but I don't want it to be. So I'm very glad that we have things that we can live a modern off-grid life. So anyway, first off, we're going to talk about our stove. And I really wanted to mention that, and I'm going to show it to you, but just before I do, I wanted to mention where we got it from. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description box, but the reason I want to bring it up first is because I think we just kind of found them by chance. Well, I don't really think anything's by chance, but no one I know has heard of the place, so I didn't get that from a recommendation from somewhere else. It's just research. But it's Ben's Discount Supply. They're an online off-grid appliance store, which is pretty handy for, you know, the off-grid life. I can't speak to any other products they have because I've only bought the stove, but I just wanted to mention it because of our customer service experience with them. Every time I called, because I had a lot of questions, I talked to the same person, which is, I mean, you don't get that normally in a lot of places, so I'm very glad of that. And they would actually call me back too if they had a question for me. And I had questions because in all my adult life, I'd only had experiences with electric stoves, living on my own. So this was my first gas range that I'd ever had. And I only had limited knowledge of gas ranges, much less an off-grid gas range. So they answered my questions. It was back ordered. I don't know if their products are still on back order, but it was at the time, so they explained all that to me, and that process kept me informed on when I'd receive it. Also, we live actually on a mountain, so there's a tiny one-lane mountain road, which makes it very hard for freight trucks to get up here. So we were able to arrange for them to drop it off at a small business off the mountain for me to pick it up. So that was really good. So yeah, I mean, the overall experience was good. The only reason I'm bringing it up because I get nothing from it. We are not affiliated whatsoever. The only reason I bring it up is because I'm a real consumer and I'm speaking to people I consider friends. So, I mean, if we were just having coffee together, I'd tell you I had a good experience with this place. If you decide to use them, I hope yours is as good as mine. But anyway, I'm excited to show you the stove. So this is our propane stove. And what little bit I learned in my research when we decided to do this was that, like, going to the hardware stores and such, those gas ranges are already set for natural gas. So if you want propane, you have to convert it. This one comes already jetted for propane. So that was one plus, because obviously we are propane, not natural gas. Another thing that makes this off-grid is the fact that there is not even a cord to plug it into the wall. There's nothing like that. It is an electric ignition, but it's a battery. You see, there's a D-cell battery that ignites it. So for those of you who are grid tied, that's a big deal, because if you lose power and you have a gas stove, you can still light with a match or something, still light your stove top and cook, but you could not use your oven. So that was my mom's trouble. She has a propane stove, but she's on the grid as far as electricity, so she could not use her oven if she lost power. Even with us being on solar power, there's still ways to lose power just for different reasons, like battery malfunctions, or gets low if we've had several cloudy days or whatever. So I could still use my oven because it's a battery ignition. Let's see, I think I already mentioned that it's already jetted for propane. One thing I am missing, which is really not a game changer, it's not a big deal at all, is the oven light. I don't have an oven light, but that's not a big deal. I can still see through the glass, open it up real quick and peek in. It's really easy to light too. It may be because I don't have a whole lot of experience. I've always been electric stoves, but when I would go visit my mom and try to light her stove, I would have trouble with it every time. I don't know the difference in that one and this one, but this one is so easy to light. I have no trouble with it whatsoever. See? Instant. I mean, just super easy. Super easy. And I love it. It's great. So, in fact, my mom has actually got her one of these too. It's in the barn. We have to install it for her, but she has decided she's going to give up the one she's got and go for one of these off-grid ones. So, yeah, it's been great. And I think it's cute too. I wanted a black one, but that one was on back order. This one was too, but the other one would have been much longer. I guess black is in more demand. But there's the stove. Leave a comment and let me know if you check out Ben's discount, because I'd really like to know what you think. And it definitely, if you end up getting something, I'd love to know that. So if you're watching this and you end up going with them, like, I'd get nothing from it other than satisfaction of knowing I helped somebody. So share that with me. I'd love to know. Okay, so we covered how I cook for my family living off-grid, but now we'll talk about something that's actually critical for survival, and that's how I make our coffee. So there's some mornings where I get up, the first thing, Jeff has trained me well, the first thing I do is check the batteries. If we've had some consistent cloudy or rainy days and not a lot of sun, so the batteries may not have, they usually keep a good charge, and we have two, so we're usually good, but for his sanity, if they drop to a certain level, then he'd rather me not use the electric coffee maker. So, and I could go outside and crank up the generator, but I'm up at 5:30. My parents are up on the hill. We've got other family that live nearby, and sound travels through these woods. I don't really need to be running a generator at 5:30. I mean, I'm sure I could, but I don't want to go out there and start it. So thankfully my parents have found a drip coffee maker that you use on a gas stove, and it's made for camping. You can put it on your camp stove and light it, and you saw in the clips how it brews. But it works just as well on my kitchen stove. I just position it, center the eye underneath the base, and it brews like a charm. All the functions are just like the electric, except it's not. So I really have enjoyed using that. I kind of wonder if some of you might have thought when I first mentioned it a couple videos ago, if you thought I was talking about a percolator. And while I have one of those, because I'm always going to have a backup to my backup, because I got my electric, and if I can't use that, I got my stovetop. And if I couldn't use that or didn't have that, there would always be the percolator. So I have one of those, but I really don't like to use it. And maybe if you've used one, you've had a better experience. But for me, it tends to leave grounds in my coffee, which I hate. And I think you can buy filters for that, but I have not been able to find them. But also, that junk is hot. Like, I like to drink my coffee as soon as it's done brewing, and I can do that with this or the electric. But with a percolator, no, that stuff is boiling. No, the first time I tried that, I don't think I could taste anything for like 48 hours. It was flashbacks. But anyway, so let's talk about this coffee maker for a second. All right, made by Coleman, and you'll see that it is exactly like the electric one, except it just doesn't plug into the wall. It sits on the sorry about the lighting, guys. Today's actually a cloudy day, so perfect day to talk about this. But what we do is we just center it over the eye, and excuse any mess you might see. I gotta clean today, but we center it on the eye on the stove, or if you're camping, you center it on your camp stove. And medium-high heat is where I usually keep it. I will say that we probably did get it a little too hot the first time we used it. Just experiment with it, because this popped off, but it works just fine. We just pushed it back down. It works great. So maybe if you get one, just start off with medium-high heat. Don't crank it up on high because you're in a hurry like me. But here's the reservoir. You just put your water in, your filter and grounds right there, and turn your eye on. That's it. And in maybe about 15-20 minutes, you got a pot of coffee. What we do to keep it hot, because with the difference in the electric and this is the hot plate. While it's plugged in and on, it will keep your coffee warm, and then if you wait too long, it'll burn it. But you don't really want to keep your eye on for this. So once it's done brewing, you turn it off. What we do, and even with the electric, just off-grid practices, what we do is pour it into this thermos, and it keeps it hot for hours and hours. So what we'll do is just pour our cups that we're going to drink, and then fill this up with the remainder, and turn off the electric, so it's not continuously pulling power to keep the coffee hot. So once it brews, we turn it off, fill our cups, fill our thermos, and we're good for hours. We just pour out of this. Same thing with the off-grid one. Instead of keeping the eye on, which you don't really want to do, you just turn it as soon as it's done brewing, turn it off, pour up your cups, fill up this metal thermos, and you're good to go. Okay, and last on the list, we're going to talk about our water heater. This is a propane water heater. Jeff said it was extremely easy to install. If you have any questions about the installation, leave those in the comments, because I couldn't answer those for you. And our schedule didn't allow for Jeff to be here to help me film this today. So if you have questions, I will get those to him, and he can answer those. So just let me know. And I can't really fully explain some of the functions, other than you can set the water temperature. We have the flame down the smallest. We have it set to summer because we're still in summer right now. I think that has something to do with the flame size too, but I could be wrong. I will ask him. But the temperature control, this tells you how hot the water is when you have the hot water on. It kind of, when you turn it on, that kicks on. And in fact, I'll show you real quick. I've got the sink running on hot, and you can see how it kicks on, and you see the temperature going up. It does actually get pretty hot. I think we could turn it up further if we wanted to, but we really don't need to. So this has actually been working really, really good. It runs our shower and all the hot water in the house. It is 18 liters per minute, which according to Google is 4.76 gallons per minute. So it's continuous hot water, and it's really cool. We do know that it's supposed to be vented to the outside. That is something he's going to do later, but for now we have this window that we open, and we're doing fine, just fine with that. It vents the room. We're not really worried about it. So, and we've been using it for a while, and it's just fine. So, yeah, that's our off-grid water heater. Oh, the battery ignition. Yes, this is a lot like the stove. You use 2 D-cell batteries in this little chamber right here for the ignition. So just like the stove, it's battery ignition, no electricity whatsoever from the solar panel system. So yeah, perfect for off-grid living. And hot water, y'all, you know, is a necessity. Okay, so I hope that you see that off-grid living really isn't all that primitive. It's actually pretty easy. There are some things we do have to get used to, like checking the battery levels and, you know, watching the weather to see how much sun we're going to get. If I wake up, even if the battery's a little bit low, but I know it's going to be a sunny day, like full sun most of the day, I still use the electric because I don't have to worry about it. I know everything's going to charge in just a couple hours. There are occasions where we do have to turn on the generator, but that's occasionally. I will update all of our solar panel information and how we, you know, if we have to make any adjustments to how we live after we experience a winter when we have a lot of clouds and a lot of snow and things like that. So we'll update all of this once we have that experience. But for now, up through a full summer and beginnings of fall, we're doing fine. So yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that you're interested in some of this. And I will leave links to everything that I talked about in this video in the description box so you can check them out for yourself, or at least add them to your list if maybe you've got an off-grid plan in the works. And if you do, I'd love to know that. Yeah, let me know if you're leaning towards this or maybe thinking about it. Even if you feel like it's a far off dream, just yeah, let's talk about it. I'd love to know that. So like, share, subscribe, and we appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for the next one.